Welcome back, everybody, to the Galaxy Unlimited podcast. This is episode 3, and today is a bit sad because we are flying solo. It's just Kyle today. It's been one of those weeks where Chancellor and I have just been really busy and we haven't been able to link up. So today we are flying solo, and we're going over our Set 3 Twilight of the Republic leader tier list. Last week we just got off of our set overview. Chancellor and I both voiced what cards we think are going to be strong coming up, as well as just kind of gave an overview of how excited we are for this set to release. And I can tell you, after our pre-release over this past weekend, I'm even more excited. I'm deck building online all the time. I'm ordering cards already to make sure I have everything for what I want to deck build. We are just so excited for this set. So without much further ado, let's go ahead and get into this bad boy. Let's start by saying we had an absolute blast at our pre-release event last weekend. I only got to play one day, unfortunately, but it was a lot of fun. I got to pick up my boxes, open my product. Super good time. I ended up doing really, really well at the pre-release, going 3-1 overall with a very high winning record. And I am so glad I showed up because at that event, I ended up pulling a Showcase Captain Rex in a pre-release box, which is incredible. This comes off the back of pulling a Showcase Newt Gunray in the case that I ordered. So it's been a good week for me in terms of like pulling cards and having fun with that. So really excited. Had a blast playing. Got to deck build a little bit by myself the other night. Really excited to get into this. And without much further ado, let's go talk about these leaders. So the first one, and I've seen some hot takes about this card, but Nala Se. Nala Se has potential to be an S tier leader. I know people are thinking about this card in a vacuum. As a leader, it doesn't do anything. It only deploys on 4 as a 1/7, but this card enables deck building space like no other. Having the ability to play clones without aspect penalty is just insane. There's a lot of good clone options, namely Tech, which basically makes every single one of your resources a live card. People are already catching on to the synergies of this with Overwhelming Barrage, and just allowing you to clear the field out of nowhere by teching and then popping in an Overwhelming Barrage. There's lots of good clones like Wrecker. There's lots of good clones in the new set like Heavy. Heavy is very strong. There's Batch Brothers, which just puts a lot of bodies on board. And Commander Cody is insane. This card just enables so much within a clone deck building sphere. So Nala Se is easily an S tier leader, and I know that there's been a lot of people putting her at like C and B tier, but I just think that that's objectively incorrect. I think we're thinking about the card too much as a leader. It doesn't answer the board. It doesn't like pop out of the leader zone and immediately contribute to damaging your opponent or winning the game. But this card, with its leader ability when it's deployed, gives you insane survivability. So really excited for Nala Se. Going to be a very strong leader. I know Chancellor's brewing heavy with this card right now. Next, our showcase, Mr. Newt Gunray. We're putting Newt in the C tier. This is one of the leaders where you can definitely make an argument where it doesn't contribute as much as a leader. When it's deployed, it just makes tokens easier, and when it's not deployed, you have to actually jump through quite a few hoops to make Battle Droid tokens. And going through those hoops to make 1/1s to exploit just doesn't do enough for you. So, unfortunately, I wish Newt was a little better. I will be playing a lot of Separatist decks, so was really hoping that Newt would turn out to be something strong, but it's just not there. You gotta jump through too many hoops for Newt to be good, and that makes him a not very strong leader. Obi-Wan Kenobi is right up there in the C tier with Newt. Healing 1 damage from a unit, just not impactful enough. Having Sentinel on your leader card is strong, and being able to heal himself and heal your other units is good, but there's not enough synergies and not enough good cards to play with this card. And it doesn't heal your base as a non-deployed leader or as a deployed leader, so it's just like, it's not contributing to your survivability. It's really only just making sure your units don't die. And if you're playing against a Vigilance deck, that doesn't even matter. So Obi-Wan Kenobi, a bit underwhelming. Showcase is beautiful. I really wish this card was good, but it is not, in my opinion. So S tier, the top of S tier actually, Yoda. I have been brewing with this deck, with this card. Oh my gosh, Yoda is so good. Deploying a 4/9 on 7 is close to Palpatine Galactic Ruler, except instead of having to damage something and stealing it with Palpatine, you can just defeat it with Yoda. This card synergizes really well with R2-D2 and C3PO, making your heroic cards just that much better, and giving you more access to like on-the-spot removal for anything that's not a leader, which is insane. So Yoda is very, very good. Really looking forward to the decks people are going to come up with this and kind of where he'll fit in. Count Dooku. I will be putting Count Dooku in the A tier. You could make an argument for low S tier. I think that he will be top of A tier. He won't be the absolutely most impactful thing on the meta, but I definitely think Count Dooku will be there. Giving your separatist cards, quote unquote, exploit is very, very good. Count Dooku enables a lot of like interesting plays like patrolling AAT or B2 Legionnaires on turn 2, which is awesome. Giving yourself a big sentinel so you can exploit more stuff is really strong, which now talking it through, I might actually bump this up to low S tier. I think Count Dooku is going to be a very strong leader, very strong card. I will be playing a lot of Count Dooku because Villainy Green is my favorite color combination. I'll probably be playing him with Vigilance, but we'll see. Count Dooku has a lot of build space around him. Basically, enabling all your Separatist cards to come down earlier is awesome. It's basically like ramp on a leader, which is sweet. You just got to make sure you got those droids or those weak units to exploit out. So Count Dooku is a brewing machine. I'm really excited to brewing with this card, and I can't wait to do it some more. Wat Tambor reminds me a lot of Grand Moff Tarkin. He's like okay. This card is fine. It just doesn't excite me, you know? So Wat Tambor is another one of those cards that just boosts your units. And he's got a decent sized body when he flips, but it's just not exciting me. Like, it doesn't create bodies. It doesn't make your cards don't come down earlier. It doesn't defeat units. It just boosts your guys. So it kind of reminds me a lot of Tarkin. And I think Tarkin might just overall be better. So Wat Tambor is interesting, just not that interesting, you know. Captain Rex, A tier leader, 100%. This card is so good. It basically means you always have board access, and they're 2/2s, which is always strong. You're never having wasted resources because you can use it to make more clones. And as we know, building clones can be just overwhelming for most opponents. So Captain Rex, after having played with this card in the pre-release event as well, this card is just exceptional. In a constructed variant of this card, it's going to be very, very good. And I mean, Captain Rex is just so good. Making your clones more survivable when he's deployed as a leader and he deploys on 5 is just very, very good. Making them 2/3s doesn't contribute to the damage, but that's not really what you're looking for. Making them 2/3s survives stuff like Snoke, which is going to be everywhere this format. So the only issue I could see Rex running into is having problems dealing with a card like Snoke, but they have ways to get around that. There's, if you're playing Cunning, you have Waylay and stuff to get it out of here and then Spark a Rebellion it, or you can play it with Rex with Vigilance and get him out of here, or you can just chuck stuff like Wrecker into Snoke and get rid of him that way. So Captain Rex has a lot of building around with it. It's going to be a very, very good leader. Padme Amidala, not interested at all. This card is not very good. Having Restore 1 and searching the top 3 for a public card is not strong. This card just doesn't have a lot of deck space to build with it, so there's just not enough variety. Maul is a tough one. I think that Maul is probably going to be an A-tier leader for this format only. After this format, I don't see Maul contributing much because I think right now Overwhelm is going to be exceptionally strong in this set 3 format. So Maul just like saying, I don't care about your single units, I'm going to kill him and damage you anyway, is, it's incredible. Having a 6/6 that deploys on 6 is like a little understated, but also it's fine because you just put a Fallen Lightsaber on him and you're golden. You're hitting with a 9/9 that deals 1 damage to ground units with Overwhelm. Everybody knows the synergies now with Darth Maul Revenge at Last that you can ambush in and overwhelm over the top of 2 units. Maul is going to be a very strong leader. I can see him bouncing between A and B depending on the format. I think he's A right now because going over the top of 1/1 Battle Droid tokens or 2/2 Clone Trooper tokens with Overwhelm from turn 6 or resource 6 onwards is just so good. So Maul is going to be a threat. Maul is definitely going to see play. And the showcase is stunning. I mean, this showcase is incredible. Pre-Vizsla, unfortunately for Pre-Vizsla, or maybe fortunately, depending on how you feel about the leader, C tier leader. There's just better options. He doesn't do anything special, doesn't do anything fantastic. He's got a unique effect, but it's just not enough. Ahsoka Tano, probably top of D tier, maybe low C tier. Ahsoka there's just better options, plain and simple. Like Ahsoka is fine, but yeah, there's just better options. I don't have too much to say about here. She's a starter deck leader and she doesn't do anything unique. So it's just like coordinate, do more damage, get your Padawan lightsaber, cool. But there's better options for like low to the ground aggression decks. However, Anakin Skywalker, I think, might be the second best red heroic leader right now. Actually, maybe the first best if you don't count Sabine because Sabine's busted. But Anakin Skywalker is actually like a super threat. Like this card is kind of cracked. As I said with Maul, Overwhelm's just going to be very, very good this format. And I think that the heroic cards are getting like a huge, huge buff with all the support they're getting. Anakin Skywalker having Overwhelm on a big body deploying on 6 is just nice. I mean, this card is nice. Like he's a good boy. Anakin will definitely see play. Will definitely see impact on the format, and I think in Red Heroic, he's gonna be a talent. You will see Anakin around for sure. However, his compatriot Mace Windu, not quite as good. Easier to deck build with, I think, but just not quite as good as Anakin. Anakin gives your stuff like damage output, especially if you're attacking into other units, which makes removal easier. Mace Windu allows you to damage stuff if it's been damaged already, so you have to play cards that damage in order for Mace Windu's ability to be live, where Anakin's is always live, and it also benefits him overall because you're damaging your base to boost your stuff or attack with units, which benefits Anakin's deployed leader side. So he just pops out, and sometimes pops out as like an 8/7 Overwhelm, which is nuts. Not to mention if you put a lightsaber on him, he just becomes like a force to be reckoned with, like an unbelievable force to be reckoned with. So they have to like rivals fall him to get rid of him. Or if they're in like Anakin Vigilance, then they can just force it. It binds all things, heal him, do damage. I mean, Anakin is cracked. Like, yeah. Compared to Mace, I think Anakin will see more success. I think Mace has a different play style. You got to play Mace as more of a mid-range deck, and I think it's a little tough right now, unless your name is Captain Rex. So, the only thing I see holding Anakin back from being like high A tier to S tier is Sabine Wren. Fun fact, damaging your own base against unbelievably busted aggro decks like Sabine Wren or strong like aggro decks like Boba Red is going to get you killed real quick. So, yeah, not great. Anakin, if he's coupled with Vigilance, can maybe hang in there with Sabine and Boba, but I don't really see it happening. And Mace Windu comes out, he deploys on 7, so it's not even good against those decks. So Sabine and Boba are going to be wrecking shop in the format once again, so it is what it is. Asajj Ventress. I think this card is a B tier card above Wat Tambor for sure. Coupling this card with stuff like Surprise Strike and the new card, what's it called? Breaking In is disgusting. Having a first strike card that you can play like Incinerator Trooper with, also deploying on 4 as a 3/4 that you can buff and just kill stuff with is like nice. It's like a very good low to the ground cutting deck, which is cool. I think the design space with Asajj is really, really neat. It's not my kind of play style, but I think Asajj is cool. I like it. I like the card. General Grievous is probably, I mean, this is going to be a pet deck of the format because I like the way that it plays, but he's probably below Asajj. Asajj is probably a little bit better. Giving your own unit Sentinel is nice, but with everything, with so many Overwhelm units running around like Anakin and Maul, I think that your little 1/1 Battle Droid tokens are going to be getting smacked over with Overwhelm. I do think that Grievous has a favorable matchup into Sabine Wren, which is nice, which is part of the reason I'm going to be playing it as a pet deck. Plus, there's just a lot of tricky tricks that you can play with General Grievous if you couple it with like Vigilance of Double Cunning. If you couple it with green, you're running the risk of getting killed by aggro decks immediately because you're probably trying to jam Droid Manufactory, which is sweet, benefits the game plan, but yeah, you're running a risk there. I think the difference between General Grievous and Count Dooku is Grievous is like producing the units for you to exploit, where Count Dooku is like the enabler that allows you to exploit over the units you generate. Which I think makes Count Dooku better because he just allows everything to have exploit essentially because you're just playing Separatist. So like for example, General Grievous, like what I'm brewing with him is you can triple Dark Raid into things like the Invisible Hand, which is an insane card. But Count Dooku can also just give the Invisible Hand exploit. So instead of having to draw into your like triple Dark Raid and slam into your like Invisible Hand or your Malevolence or whatever you're playing, what if you just gave that card exploit and just focus your deck on spamming a bunch of units? Like, you know what I mean? So I think both of them have a lot of like playability, and maybe General Grievous will turn out being better than I'm giving him credit for right now. But in my testing with the deck, it's been getting smacked around by like overwhelm units. Anakin Skywalker's a tough matchup, for example. Maul is like really, really difficult to win. But it does play favorably into like control decks, which is nice. So General Grievous is going to be my pet deck probably this format. Just really like the card. General Grievous is my boy. Jango Fett probably top of C tier. He's got tricky tricks, but he's not better than Boba. Exhausting units after they've been damaged is like kind of a lot of hoops to go through to not damage or remove the unit. So it's like, yeah, he's got survivability, which is cool, but why not just play Boba Fett? It's like Boba's just so much better. So why would you play Jango when you can play Boba? Jango's showcase is sweet though. Chancellor Palpatine, top of A tier, and I'm not kidding. Like this card has so many brewing strategies with it, and I love it. I've been brewing the crap out of this deck. Chancellor Palpatine is sick. I can't wait to brew some more with it, and I'm not going to give away my deck's building strategies right now because I think they're relatively unique. But Chancellor Palpatine is going to be a very strong leader. I think once people figure out how to deck build with him, healing your base 2, creating tokens, and like damaging their base 2, and stuff like that is just like, yeah, it's good. I like Chancellor Palpatine a lot. Not having a leader to deploy is like the same as Nalase, right? Where people, I think, are scared to not have a leader that immediately impacts the board. Which I understand, but I also think is like they're tunnel visioning on how impactful the leader itself is to the board, not what it does for your deck. Which I think Palpatine and Nalase are very similar in that they don't benefit your board necessarily when they're deployed. Obviously, because Palpatine doesn't deploy, but they benefit your deck as a whole from the leader zone, which is sick. So I cannot wait to deck build some more with Chancellor Palpatine. Quinlan Vos, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I haven't looked into this card too much. I hear it's good. So I'm going to put him below General Grievous. But yeah, sorry to end it on kind of like a low note right there, but I just don't know much about Quinlan Vos. I haven't even like tried to deck build with it or like really looked into utilizing his ability. So maybe it's better than I'm getting credit for. Maybe it's worse than I'm getting credit for. But right now, low B tier is where it's going to stay. I might be disrespecting Wat Tambor actually by putting him above it, but this is what we hear. So if you agree with my tier list, or if you don't agree with my tier list, please let me know in the comments below. Really interested to hear your guys' thoughts on what you think the format's going to shape up as, what you think the top decks are going to be. But until next time, thank you so much for listening to the Galaxy Unlimited podcast. Next weekend, we should be back on a normal schedule. So it'll be Chancellor and I discussing the format, kind of what we're seeing, playing some games, recording some gameplay. And hopefully you guys will tune in for that one too. But again, thank you so much for watching and enjoying the tier list. Please like and subscribe, and may the Force be with you.